15 questions. Out of 15, you will be writing any 10 questions, which is very important. He sends B.A.C.E.A inside his kitchen, and Charat Singh is a Havildar. He belongs to upper caste. This is for 5 marks, and if you want to score more marks, I expect you to introduce these techniques while you answer in your semester. Class struggle, we are going to take B.A.C.E.A as one of the main characters here and how well he struggles. Hello, hi, namaste and welcome to Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. I am Nandakishore, Faculty of English in Vidhyaashram, MYSURU. In today's session, I am going to discuss one of the question papers prescribed to third semester BA and BCA on the novel Untouchable. So in today's session, let us straight away discuss the previous year's question paper, the year of 2019. You should know the question paper pattern. The section A is for 1 mark each and you will be facing 15 questions. Out of 15, you will be writing any 10 questions, which is very important. Let us see this. Answer 10 of the following questions in a word, phrase or a sentence each. So you are going to answer them in a word or a phrase in a sentence each, and only 10, any 10. In which year was Untouchable published? It was published in the year 1935. Name the town in which B.A.C.E.A lived. He lived in the town Bulleh-Shah. This is the imaginary town. What did Gandhi call the untouchables? He called them Harijan. He called them Harijan, and Harijan meant the people of God. Who is the chief of the Salvation Army? It is Colonel Hutchinson. Colonel Hutchinson. Who is the younger brother of B.A.C.E.A? It is Raka. And they may ask you, who is the father of B.A.C.E.A? It is Laka. They may ask you even who is the sister of B.A.C.E.A? It is Sohini. Who escorted Gandhi? Here it is devotees or their followers, right? The followers of Gandhi. Who talks about introducing flush system for sewage disposal in the novel? It is Gandhi who talks about Mahatma Gandhi ji while addressing people, while addressing Harijans, while addressing the crowd there. He talks about the idea of introducing flush system, which is later discussed by Iqbal Nath Sarsha. Iqbal Nath Sarsha, it is later discussed by him, which is the narrative technique used by the author in the novel. This is very important. The narrative technique, third person omniscient. This is the narrative technique used omniscient. It talks about, it is basically talking about the religious person, the religion, the concept of religion. Next, it is who gifts B.A.C.E.A a hockey stick? As we know, it is Charat Singh. Charat Singh could be C-H-A-R-A-T or R-A-T-H as well. Name the barracks of regiment which B.A.C.E.A cleans. It is 38th Dogras, where he cleans it. Who is Mary Hutchinson? Mary Hutchinson is the wife of Colonel Hutchinson. Who saved B.A.C.E.A from his childhood illness? Hindu doctor. Hindu doctor is the one who saves B.A.C.E.A from his childhood illness. What does B.A.C.E.A see with the longing eyes in the quartermaster's room? It is Sola Topi, which he is very fond of. Who comes to the rescue of B.A.C.E.A when he was assaulted on the streets? Muslim Tongawala. Tongawala, yes, is the one who comes to rescue B.A.C.E.A while he was assaulted by an upper caste Hindu man. What is the wish Mahatma Gandhi expressed in the speech? He wishes actually to be born as an untouchable. In the next life, he wishes to be born as an untouchable. So this is about 1 marker questions, and now let us move on to the next section B. Write short notes on any 4, which is very important here, any 4 of the following. So this carries 20 marks. First we are done with 10. Now we are dealing with 20. Write a note on character of Laka. Now Laka, who is Laka? This is for 5 marks, and if you want to score more marks, I expect you to introduce these techniques while you answer in your semester. You can just take Laka is the character in the novel Untouchable, written by Mulkraj Anand. Laka is the father of B.A.C.E.A, who is an abusive father, who is very lazy, who doesn't want to take up his responsibility of Zamedar, and who always scolds his children. He always puts his responsibilities on his son B.A.C.E.A, where he goes to sweep and clean the latrines. Laka is lazy. He always avoids. He starts lying to his son, saying that he has got severe headache and he's not able to get out of his bed. He wants to be left for himself. And Laka, in the novel, he tries to take the side of Hindus. When B.A.C.E.A is down, his morale is down, and Laka goes on to narrate how his son B.A.C.E.A is saved by a Hindu doctor. There are a lot of incidents, and once B.A.C.E.A comes home after taking the food, with just where he comes home with 3 or 4 pieces of bread, Laka starts scolding. He always scolds, he abuses in a mean language. And again, when B.A.C.E.A goes out to play hockey game, he comes back home late. And at that point of time, Laka orders. He just abuses again at B.A.C.E.A and he says that he is better that he doesn't come home back and let him leave the house immediately. He just asks, commands, scolds B.A.C.E.A to get out of the house and never come back because he was so angry on his son. Next one is examine the character of Sohini. Sohini, the sister of B.A.C.E.A, the daughter of Laka, very well composed, very thoughtful, and she is the sole bearer of the family, only female character of her family. She is abused by Gulabo when she goes to fetch water from the well, but she never reverts back at Gulabo. She never just pounces back at Gulabo, even though that Sohini knows that she has not done any mistake. She happily accepts the abusive words, abusive language from Gulabo, though she knows that she is being humiliated. Next, she goes to the temple where she is assaulted, sexually assaulted, molested by Pandit Kalina. She is very helpless. She goes to her brother crying, and B.A.C.E.A, when he tries to take action against these mean doings, it is Sohini who stops B.A.C.E.A from not taking any adverse measure, adverse step. Why? Because she knows it might further lead to complications. So she is very calm, she is very beautiful, and she is at marriageable age. What is the role played by Havildar Charat Singh in the novel? Havildar Charat Singh, he initially, as the novel opens, we get to see that he scolds B.A.C.E.A for not trying to clean the latrine, who is not coming on time, who is always sleepy and lazy. But later on, we get to know that Charat Singh is the one, he is the real hero of this novel, who helps B.A.C.E.A to come out of his social stigma. Because when B.A.C.E.A visits Charat Singh to receive the hockey stick, Charat Singh sends B.A.C.A inside his kitchen to get something out. He sends B.A.C.A inside his kitchen, and Charat Singh is a Havildar. He belongs to upper caste and he doesn't maintain any social distance with untouchable people. Not only that, Charat Singh even inquires with B.A.C.A about his not appearance in hockey game. He is frequently on and off to hockey game, and Charat Singh knows very well that B.A.C.A is a very good hockey player. And as a matter of fact, Charat Singh, he himself is the famous hockey player. And he helps B.A.C.A in many ways. So how does Gulabo treat B.A.C.A? Gulabo is a washerwoman and she is a bit arrogant, bit egoistic. Why? Because she thinks that she is placed better, she is placed higher compared to untouchables. And B.A.C.A unfortunately belongs to untouchable category, and she never likes B.A.C.A nor his sister Sohini. That is the reason why she attacks Sohini in the very first place when she goes to fetch water. And in the second place, when B.A.C.A goes to attend Gulabo's daughter's marriage. Remember, it is Ramcharan who is B.A.C.A's friend, and Ramcharan's mother is Gulabo, and occasionally Ramcharan and B.A.C.A used to pull each other's leg by calling brother-in-law. And Ramcharan on that day, he clarifies that his sister is getting married and he no longer call him as a brother-in-law. And with dejection, B.A.C.A goes to attend Ramcharan's sister's marriage, Gulabo's daughter's marriage, and there he tries to meet Chota and Ramcharan, and at that moment this scene is observed by Gulabo, and she starts chasing B.A.C.A out of the marriage hall and out of the marriage scene. Next is write about Pandit Kalinath's attitude towards Sohini. This is very important. Pandit Kalinath is the one who gives water to people who are waiting near the well. Somehow the lower caste people, they convince Pandit Kalinath, and looking at Sohini, he has something going on in his back of the mind, and he calls Sohini and pours the water into a pitcher and then tells that she has to come back later and clean the premises of temple. And what happens? Once she starts cleaning the temple, he goes and molests Sohini. Being the Brahmanical man, being one of the man from Brahmin society, Pandit, the priest, the most respectable man, he is attracted, physically attracted, he is attracted to Sohini's beauty, and that is the reason he hints Sohini that she has to come back later and clean the premises. And while this is happening, he goes on to molest her, and he shouts, polluted, polluted, when Rohini resists. When he learns that Sohini is going to go against Pandit Kalinath immediately shouts, polluted, polluted, to grab the attention of nearby devotees and nearby people, and puts the blame on Sohini, saying that she is the one who polluted me. And all the devotees and all the people there in the temple, they chase out both B.A.C.A and Sohini out of the temple. Next is examine the activities of the Salvation Army. Salvation Army is very important here. Why? Because from the point of religion, it is the chief of the Salvation Army, Colonel Hutchinson, who goes to B.A.C.A, who finds B.A.C.A crying under the peepal tree, who tries to convince B.A.C.A to convert himself to Christianity. And that is the main role, that is the main important activity here of Salvation Army in India. In India, this salvation, this Christianity religion, it knew that there is always scope, there is always way to convert the local people to Christianity. They knew that is a very main reason why Colonel Hutchinson is a weapon in the hands of Milkraj Anand, where he is being used to convert B.A.C.A and give an idea about liberty, to give an idea about better life for the untouchable, untrodden people. Describe B.A.CHELOR's experience during Ramcharan's sister's marriage. I told you it is one and the same here almost. Ramcharan and B.A.CHELOR, they are very close friends, the best friends. And every now and then, B.A.CHELOR and Ramcharan, they keep pulling each other's leg, they keep teasing, saying that brother-in-law, and one fine day that I'm going to get married to your sister. And as a matter of fact here, B.A.CHELOR is in love. He is attracted to Ramcharan's sister. But will he be able to marry Ramcharan's sister? No. He has learned that Ramcharan tells B.A.CHELOR that day she is getting married. Ramcharan's sister is getting married and B.A.CHELOR is broken. But still, unwillingly, he goes to Ramcharan's sister marriage. There, he gets the attention of Chota and Ramcharan. Out of difficulty, he gets the attention of Ramcharan, who is busy eating sweets. So in this scene, Gulabo, Ramcharan's mother, observed that this untouchable B.A.CHELOR has entered the hall and she tries to chase out B.A.CHELOR, and meanwhile Chota and Ramcharan also join B.A.CHELOR and they run out of the marriage hall. Write a note on Iqbal Nath Sasha. He is the poet, yes, and he is present. He is listening to Mahatma Gandhi's speech there, and after listening to Mahatma Gandhi's speech, the idea of flush toilets, he goes on to discuss this idea with his friend who is the lawyer, and they both feel, one feels actually Mahatma Gandhi is a coward, and Iqbal Nath Sasha, he is a poet and he feels, yes, maybe very soon this untouchability would eradicate. It is definitely going to eradicate with this idea of flush system in the toilet. This is about 5-marker questions. Let us move on to section C now. Answer any 3 of the following. The first one, question number A, consider untouchable as a representation of class struggle, discrimination and exploitation found in Hindu society. So here we need to take up the character of B.A.CHELOR and we need to explain what are the different scenes he struggles in his life. The very first scene where he goes to street and he wants to buy jalebis, and very first scene he buys and the sweet vendor cheats him and he is so helpless that he cannot question why he was cheated. And as the novel progresses, he again meets a Hindu merchant who comes and brushes against him, who collides, who touches him. It was not his mistake at all. It was the mistake of Hindu merchant, and B.A.CHELOR has to apologize for this. Again the class struggle, and there is a huge crowd which gathers there, and B.A.CHELOR is nowhere left. He can't even run away from the scene and is afraid the touch would end up resulting in horrible consequences. So again he had to stand there, and finally he is slapped. The Hindu merchant slaps B.A.CHELOR and leaves the scene. Class struggle, again he goes there to play hockey scene. Yes, to play hockey. The scene is such that one of the persons, the hockey players, boys, Burra Babu's son, he gets hit on the head and starts bleeding. So in order to save him, he lifts and takes the boy to house, Burra Babu's house, and there the boy's mother scolds B.A.CHELOR very badly because he is an untouchable and he has defiled her son, and the food is thrown on the floor and he is not able to pick it up. It is so disgusting. He goes back home. Again, he receives scoldings there. Throughout the novel, it is the class struggle seen there. Discrimination could be seen here. Why and how people maintain their distance from the untouchable people. He has to give the loud call. He has to cry out loud about his appearance, about his coming on the streets, because he should also make sure that he is not touching the upper class people. And exploitation, as we know, he is being exploited by Colonel Hutchinson, because Colonel Hutchinson has got to do, he has to meet his needs What is his needs? To convert the untouchables to Christianity. That is a need. That is his deadline. That is his duty. And he is trying to exploit B.A.'s weakness. And B.A.'s weakness is his own caste. He is casteless. Comment on B.A.'s dreams and aspirations in the novel. B.A. is always passionate about Tommy's way of life. He has an high aspiration of leading a better life. He wants to dress up like the Englishmen. He wants to talk like them. And most importantly, his dream is that he wants to get rid of his untouchable social evil. He visits Bulla Shah's station, railway station, where Gandhiji addresses all the people. And he also dreams of getting rid of his profession as an untouchable, as a sweeper. There are a lot of aspirations which comes. He is always fond of Sula topis, the topis where he is passionate about wearing it. He always wants to imitate the way English people spoke. So that's about the second one. Let us move on to the third one now. Write about the incident of the Hindu merchant slapping B.A. for touching him. Here, B.A. purchases, he buys jalebis and is munching sweets and is standing on the road, and accidentally there is a Hindu merchant who comes and dashes against B.A. and Hindu merchant is so angered, he goes on to scold B.A. saying that you are for a two-legged Scorpio, you are vermin, you are a son of a bitch, and why couldn't you keep yourself away from the road? And you touched me now, you have defiled. I have worn new dress, I had taken bath just then. And now I have to go back again and I need to wear new dhoti or new dress and need to take bath. He goes on to scold, he goes on to abuse, and once B.A. pleads, he begs, he is lying on a prostrate mode, and Hindu merchant is not convinced. And there is a huge crowd now. While this is happening, a Tongawala, a Muslim Tongawala who comes and stops the fight. Yes. And the Hindu merchant, before he leaves, he slaps B.A. and B.A. is broken now. Describe the humiliation suffered by B.A. in the novel. Throughout the novel, first scene, it is jalebi, the sweet vendor. Second scene is Hindu merchant. The third scene is where he goes to clean the streets and the food is thrown on the floor, again humiliated. Next scene, he goes to the temple and there again his sister is humiliated, and then he goes on to play hockey and again there he is humiliated. He comes back home, he is humiliated by his father, and then he goes out of the house and sits under a pupil tree. Again he is embarrassed, a sort of humiliation by Colonel Hutchinson. Next, the last one, analyze the impact of Mahatma Gandhi's speech in the novel. Here, Gandhiji is one of the main characters who plays a pivotal role in the life of B.A. The B.A. throughout the novel till the end part, he is shattered, he is embarrassed, he is hurt, he is broken. But once he attends this speech of Gandhi, once he listens, he has got a lot of confidence in him. Gandhiji goes on to give the story, example of Uka, who cleans the toilets, who is one of the untouchables in Gandhiji's ashram. He goes on to tell how one of the Brahmins also cleans the latrines, and even Gandhi reveals that Harijans, and he calls untouchables as Harijans, and he also gives an idea of betterment of their lives. And how can they better their life? By not eating the food from the ground or from the dustbin. Maybe a good food, and it's not about wearing dirty and ragged clothes, it's about wearing neat clothes. And also, in his speech, he reveals that he doesn't want to be born as Brahmin, nor Kshatriya, nor Vaishyas, nor Shudra. These untouchables, they don't belong to any of these four varnas. Theirs is the fifth varna, untouchables. So he goes on to boost the morale of B.C.A, and he also discusses the idea of installation of flushing toilets, which is the great message, the great happy words to B.C.A, and B.C.A is in completely new world after listening to this idea of flush system. This is about question and answers. Let us move on to language component. In language component, the very first language component is underline the adverbs. Now 10 plus 20 plus 30 is done. Now remaining 20 marks is for grammar. Underline the adverbs in the sentences. It's very easy. Sita writes fast. Sita is noun, subject, noun or subject. Writes is the verb and fast is adverb. So in your examination, you can simply write this word, or you prefer writing the complete sentence, then you have to underline the adverb. Raghu spoke loudly. Loudly is the adverb. Ramesh came late. Late is adverb. She walks slowly. Slowly is the adverb. If you say all the adverbs are at the end of the sentence, but there are sentences where the adverbs lie in between the sentence. So be careful. And one trick to identify the adverb is usually the word which ends with ly is considered as adverb. Next is give one word substitutes to the following. A life history written by oneself. It is autobiography. Autobiography. Absence of rain for a long time. It is drought. Study of human mind. Psychology. A period of 100 years. Century. So these are one word substitutes. Next one is construct sentences using any four of the following words. You can choose any four. I prefer having bread over rice. Worship, I worship the God every day. Obey, I always obey the rules and regulations. Publish, I published a book recently. Decorate, I love to decorate my house. Practice, practice makes man perfect. Temple, temple is where the God resides. That is what people believe. Crowd, there is a huge crowd. There is a big crowd in the street. So you can use any other sentences while framing it, but make sure that the sentence you construct is meaningful and complete. Next one is change the following into passive voice. This is very important. She wrote a letter. A letter was written by her. If this is right, she writes a letter, then a letter is written by her. You need to be careful with tenses here. He is building the wall. The wall is being built by him. I have met him. He has been met by me, or he has been met is also fine. Ravi will paint the house. The house will be painted by Ravi. So that is the answers. Then let us move on to the last one. Read the following passage and answer the questions that follow. Here I have not chosen any passage as such. It's quite big, lengthy, and the questions that follow will be tricky to answer in live class, in recorded class. So I have just chosen the question here to give you the glimpse of what is the last main about. There you'll be facing a paragraph, just a small passage, and based on those passages, you will be answering the questions which follows. There will be questions, 4 questions, and you are going to answer them. So that is the question paper pattern, and this is the previous year's question paper, the question paper of 2019. So that is it for today's session. I'm going to meet you in my next session. Until then, have a good day. Take care.